Hi, thanks for being here. I'm Anathea. I really appreciate you taking the time to check out how to be heard and understood. I think you're really going to get a lot out of this brief webinar. It's only about 36 minutes, so watch it all the way to the end. I have something special for you, and it's packed with really good information. So enjoy. Discover how to be heard and understood. This is an introduction to Heart Talk. So I want to ask you, are you feeling frustrated in your relationships? Feeling like you really don't matter or that you're not deeply cared for? Feeling a lack of love, affection, and connection in your relationships? Or even a lack of intimacy on top of all of that? You know, my goal for our time together is for you to understand that the only way that you're going to get these things and truly feel heard and understood is to stop speaking from your head and learn how to speak from your heart. And that the only way to speak from your heart is to realize how much you're actually head talking and how it's hurting you and your relationships, and then commit to heart talking. So before we begin, I want to introduce myself. My name is Anathea, and I'm a Divine Feminine educator. I graduated from the Divine Feminine Institute back in 2007, and I've been teaching this Divine Feminine wisdom ever since. It completely transformed my life, and I want the same for you. I also wrote a book, Empower Yourself by Loving Your Body. The subtitle to it is The Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Yourself as Sacred. So I want to encourage you to read that book. It was really a delivery of love when I wrote that book. I also have a website with over 250 blogs with some great resources and articles for you about communication, intimacy, sex education, the yoni egg, and emotional mastery. And I've been featured on online magazines. I want to share with you my transformation, my story, what brought me here. I had a destructive and sabotaging communication pattern that I actually had to pay dearly for. I don't know what it is for you, a nagging, yelling, people-pleasing, but I was a yeller. Nonetheless, I so longed for my beloved. I wanted a conscious, equal partnership. I wanted connection, I wanted love, and I wanted true intimacy. But my relationship was hard, and communication was hard. I didn't feel connected, and I wasn't feeling heard and understood. I didn't even feel like my needs even mattered. I wasn't getting the intimacy that I was really longing for. And our arguments and upsets, they were so frustrating to me. No matter what I said, it didn't matter. It was like talking to a wall. All I wanted was for him to get simple relationship concepts that I thought were obvious. And I wanted him to stop being so ego-driven and narcissistic and just connect with me. You know, the frustration would build so strongly in me that I would explode and yell at him at the top of my lungs, hoping he would get it. But it just made things even worse. Maybe you're not a yeller. Maybe you keep things inside, or maybe you nag. And you might even nag in a nice way, but it never ends, and there's no change. We all have our communication styles that don't work. Mine was yelling. The more I tried to make him see my side, which I thought was totally obvious, the more I pushed him away, and the less I felt good about him and me. The more frustrated I got with what I perceived as his lack of awareness, the more I was actually pushing love away. But you know what? He really gave me a gift. We learn from each other in relationships. When I would yell at him, he would very calmly say, "When you yell at me, I can't hear you." And that was exactly what I wanted. I just wanted to be heard and understood. So it was by him saying that I really realized I needed to change the way I was communicating. My communication style was sabotaging love. So I decided to use him as my practice partner. I really focused on using the Heart Talk principles I had learned, and I really put them to practice diligently. Every time I didn't use Heart Talk, I would create disconnect and frustration. And every time I used Heart Talk, it worked. It took commitment, but it honed my ability to communicate clearly and fight fairly. and with compassion both for myself and for him. But it was too late. What ended up happening was that he fell in love with another woman, and we ended up getting divorced. Ultimately, I know it was all for the best, but that didn't lessen the deep emotional pain I endured. It was heart-wrenching. But it was after that I got even more committed to Heart Talk. Every time I had an upset with anyone, I practiced the Heart Talk principles even more diligently than ever before. My loss was my turning point. It was my lesson. But I don't want you to have to go through such a great loss or stay stuck in a miserable relationship for years to figure out that your communication style, whether it's yelling, shutting down, nagging, over accommodating, or silent treatment, whatever sabotaging communication style it is for you, that it's going to bring you more love. It won't. And I had to learn the hard way. So now I make personal connection more important than being right. I now have more emotional control and awareness than I ever had in my life. And I now know what to do when I'm triggered so that I won't yell and destroy my relationships. What about you? Let's take a look at some signs your communication is sabotaging your relationships and your ability to feel heard and understood. Are you often second-guessing yourself, anxious, confused, or frustrated? Or maybe you have unresolved, untalked about issues in your relationships. Or maybe you're people-pleasing too much, over-accommodating. Do you feel bullied or taken advantage of? And do you often find yourself in tense or heated conversations or avoiding them altogether? What are your communication styles? Do you wall off? Do you give the silent treatment? Do you say I'm fine when you're not? Do you pretend like nothing's wrong? Do you talk bad about the one you love to another? Do you use denial to cope, or do you confront or nag? Or do you try to manipulate and control the situation? I'm telling you, that won't get you heard and understood in your relationships. Quite the opposite. Destructive communication patterns create destructive relationships and completely block your opportunity to feel heard and understood and loved. But the good news is constructive communication, Heart Talk, will open your heart and the other person's heart. It allows for authentic connections and makes healthy relating in all your relationships, not just love relationships, possible. So let's look a little bit deeper, the difference between head talk versus heart talk. Head talk tries to solve emotional issues with logic. Can't be done. Maybe you just want someone to listen to you. Heart talk gets to the core of the issue, so you don't go around in circles or end up just nagging and nagging and nagging and getting nowhere. Head talk is filled with false projections. So what are projections? It's taking unwanted emotions or traits you don't like about yourself and attributing them to someone else. So let me give you an example. A woman is self-conscious about her weight and projects onto her partner that he thinks she's overweight, when really he loves her voluptuous curves. She doesn't open up in the bedroom and has trouble with intimacy because she fears he thinks she's fat. That's projection, and it keeps you from connection. Whereas Heart Talk just speaks the truth, your truth, in that moment, in a way that doesn't put the other person on the defensive, and also doesn't make you look weak either. Let's look at some more. So Head Talk builds defenses and resentments, whereas Heart Talk builds connection and understanding. So examples of Head Talk, are the dynamics of always needing to be right. They're wrong, that's wrong, and the I know better syndrome, or feeling taken advantage of. That's all cultivated through Head Talk. Or feeling put down and lack of validation. That's just critical, seeing your partner through your critical mind, and it's not seeing your partner through your heart. Or unrealistic expectations, really being too idealistic and not knowing that your partner's just another human. Or always having excuses for poor behavior. Or gaslighting. This one's big. So many people get gaslit. So this is an example. Your intuition senses there is something going on with your guy and another person. You try to talk with him about it, and he turns the whole thing around and calls you insecure. And so it basically pulls the rug under you and steals you of your confidence and your sense of intuition. So gaslighting is very disastrous to a relationship, and that's included under head talk. Whereas heart talk, like I said, it builds connection and understanding. No one is inherently wrong. No one is inherently right. It's beyond blame to actually equal mattering. It builds inner awareness and the capacity to be strong and vulnerable at the same time. Do you know how to do that? Heart talk also is firm and clear, yet very loving. And heart talk builds trust. And also, when you cultivate that knowing how to do heart talk, you're going to create and cultivate a sense of inner peace and strength. So overall, head talk hurts yourself and others, and heart talk heals yourself and others. So I want to go over the 3 key steps so that you can be heard and understood. So the first step is just to realize the truth about how you are currently communicating. You're sabotaging communication patterns. And then the second step is just being willing to change and learn a new way. And the third step is to make your peeps your practice partners. So let's look deeper into these steps. As I go through these steps, I'll share with you stories of 3 of my students and their success stories of what it takes to really feel heard and understood. And of course, loved. So step number 1, realize the truth about how you are currently communicating. So Denise was one of my students a few years back, and she's a very successful woman. She had her own business, her own house. She's actually now married. She was single and just could not find love, but she's actually now married to her beloved. Last time I talked to her, she was very, very happy. But when she came to my course, she was trying to learn a better communication to bring more love into her life. And she grew up, though she was highly educated and very successful, she grew up in a rough neighborhood. So she said what she talked was snarky talk. She had to be rough and actually kind of mean in order to survive as a kid in that rough neighborhood. So this is what Denise has to say. Until I took Anathea's communication course, I had no idea the way I was talking was pushing love away. Her class was a real eye-opener for me, and it gave me the specific tools and path to create more loving connections in my life, especially in my love life. And she's actually now married, and this happened after she took my teachings. Well, you might be thinking, I do communicate from my heart. I'm a nice person. Denise was too. And I'm not saying that you're not a nice person. It's just that, of course you're a nice person, okay? Denise was a wonderful, amazing, successful, nice woman too. It's not about your character and who you are as a person. It's about how you learned to communicate when you were growing up. So let me ask you, did your mother get her relationship needs met? Did she know how to ask for what she wanted? Did your parents role model good communication? They weren't bad people. Well, maybe they were, but most parents really aren't. They're well-intended. They just didn't know any different. All you have to do is follow the Heart Talk model and your relationships will transform. Let's look at some specific examples of Heart Talk versus Head Talk. So Head Talk. You can't wait for them to finish so that you can tell them your point of view. Does this sound familiar? So if someone's talking and you're already conjuring up your response without really even listening to what they have to say, especially during arguments. What Heart Talk will do is say, let me repeat back to you what you just said to make sure I understand you. Head Talk, you never support me. Heart Talk, honey, I really need your reassurance and support right now. Head Talk, I can't believe you did that. Heart Talk, there's something heavy on my heart. When would be a good time to talk to you about it? Head Talk, I'm so tired of your dirty socks always on the floor. Heart Talk, honey, I need cleanliness. I'm curious. Do you want to live in a clean house? Head talk. You're always working. Just sick and tired of you always being at work. Heart talk. Honey, I really would love to have more quality time with you. Would that be possible? Some more big, bad habits of head talk are speaking opinions and having feelings be opinions, not feelings. We do it all the time. Are you kind of getting the idea how we kind of push people away here? So I feel betrayed. I feel betrayed is not a feeling. I feel taken advantage of. Taken advantage of is not a feeling. We are so disconnected from our feelings and we repress them instead. I feel disrespected. I get that one a lot. Disrespected is not a feeling. And the ED words are accusatory, actually. And then opinions. He's such a jerk. Well, who says he's a jerk? There's other people that think he's absolutely wonderful. And maybe tomorrow you're going to think he's absolutely wonderful too. She was really snotty to me. Really? Okay. These are not words that are going to get you connection or feel heard and understood. You are so aggressive. That's going to push someone away. More head talk examples that shut the other person down. Okay, I'm going to give you some more here. You're always interrupting me. You never help around the house. He's a loser. She's unreliable. They are misfits. You make me feel so bad. Look what you made me do. We need to have a talk. That's micromanaging. You're telling the other person what we have to do. You're commanding and controlling. You are frustrating me. Now you're going to think, well, that's telling me from my point of view, but still you're accusing that other person. You're attack. These are words of attack, basically. And then ultimately, leave me alone. You've finally pushed love away, right? So heart talk does not you people. I remember one of my boyfriends, we would say, I'll stop youing you if you stop youing me. As a matter of fact, heart does not we, you, should people. So we need to figure this out and go to counseling as soon as possible. I can't take it anymore. That's micromanaging. You cannot control another person. That person may say, I am not going to go to counseling. You can only speak from the I, from what you're experiencing, and make heartfelt requests. Otherwise, you're crunching the relationship and squeezing the love right out of it. You never listen. You don't spend enough time with the kids. You, pointing at all the things that are wrong. Stop youing people and shoulding on people. You should be more attentive. You should pick up after yourself. I won't should on you if you don't should on me. So now I've shown you how most of us talk. Can you see from these examples how you sabotage being heard and understood? What's exciting is when you learn and practice the heart talk model, you'll witness difficult people instantly drop their defenses because you now know how to soften into your strength. Isn't that great? All you have to do is learn how to let down your defenses, but still stay in your power. And I can show you how to do that. So to review, step number 1 is realize the truth about how you are currently communicating and how it's not getting you what you want. Step number 2, be willing to change and learn a new way. So I want to talk about Danae. This is another one of my students that came to me, and she was in a long-term marriage, very, very frustrated, beautiful, beautiful woman. And it was so wonderful to see the transformation in her. And then I ran into her, I don't know, maybe 2 years later or a year later, and she was just really, really happy. So she went from completely miserable in her relationship to just really feeling very great harmony. And she said a lot of it had to do with learning how to communicate and heart talk. So this is what she says. When I started Anathea's course, I was pissed off and ready to leave a 30-year marriage. During her course, things shifted for me. I began to understand more about why I feel and react to things the way I do. I developed more compassion both for myself and others. Because of my own internal shifts, difficult relationships became less difficult and even much better because of it. I'm not pissed off anymore, and my marriage is better than ever. Thank you, Anathea, for your valuable work. This is an excellent course. Danae, it was great having you in the course. So excited to be able to share this with other people, how I've helped you. Okay, So you might be thinking, I'm not the one that needs to change. My partner does. I'm not the one that needs to learn how to be nice. He or she does. He or she is a jerk and is the one causing all the problems in the relationship. And I know, I really get it. You can be in that position where it's so clear that it's the other person that is causing all the problems. However, they're not wanting to change. And if you want change, you're going to have to be the instigator of it. And it all starts by you shifting into your heart. So you may believe that they're all wrong, but actually it's a dance. If you learn how to engage in a new way, there will be a new dance. Guaranteed. I've seen it over and over and over again. You have the power to create a dance that is more loving and compassionate. Heart Talk is about learning how to access the power of your divine feminine, about feeling strong and vulnerable at the same time. And it's vulnerability that creates that intimacy that you're longing for. It's about feeling clear about what you want and need and dancing in the relationship in a way that cultivates clarity of communication, which supports true connection and intimacy. It's ultimately about creating the right environment to let your defenses down. Do you know how to do that without an agenda or manipulation? You need to be willing to become aware of your part, your reactions, your words, your triggers, your choices of words. And I'm youing you, but I'm youing you in a way for your transformation. So I want you to start noticing your choice of words. Always, never, you. Or when you deny your feelings. I shouldn't feel that way. Or if what you say has a hidden agenda behind it. Honey, I just heard the Joneses are remodeling their house. Instead of just being direct, saying, I really want to remodel the house. Jokes that poke at someone else's weaknesses. Jokes are big disconnectors, I'd say, these types. Arriving at a gathering, for example, you're going to a party and you're with your mate and you say, sorry we're late, I had to find all the things that were in plain sight for my husband. We need to start being aware of how we are using our words and how they're pushing love away. So now I've shown you, you are part of the disempowering dance. Are you willing to change the dance? That's what's going to get you what you're looking for, to be heard and understood and to feel truly loved. Isn't that great? All you need to do is change your dancing shoes. So to review step number 2, be willing to change and learn a new way. And then the last step is make your peeps your practice partners. Okay, I'm going to give you another example of one of my students, Donna. She came to me really needing help. She was so frustrated in her marriage. And we really worked on the communication. She took the communication course, and this is what she has to say. Learning and practicing Heart Talk from Anathea's course was life-changing for me. It allowed me to build the courage and compassion to leave a 27-year marriage with ease and grace. I witnessed that. A marriage I should have left years ago. I struggled with the thought of leaving my marriage, of breaking up the family and disappointing my husband and children. I stayed much longer than I should have out of fear of causing too many problems for everyone else but me. I didn't know how to communicate my desires and needs. After learning Heart Talk, I realized I could communicate my desires and needs openly and lovingly without feeling guilt or shame. My words were received with love and understanding as a result of Heart Talk. I ended up having a very peaceful and amicable separation and divorce. Heart Talk communication made my divorce much easier on myself, my husband, and the children. And now I am so much happier in my life today. Thank you, Anathea. Donna, it was so beautiful to witness your transformation and your continued transformation too, like all of us. So I want you to know every single day you have multiple opportunities to practice Heart Talk. Once you learn it. So make your peeps your practice partners. You can try this on your partner, your lover, your boss, your coworker, your daughter, your mother, your housekeeper, your realtor. You can try it on anybody. Heart Talk is good to communicate to anybody, but especially in difficult, challenging situations where you really want to feel heard and understood. So you're thinking, I can't speak my truth. It'll cause too much upset. Yes, you can, and it's important that you do. When you use the Heart Talk model, it's actually easy. You learn how to communicate without putting the other person on the defensive. So there's nothing to worry about, nothing to be fearful of. It really works. Or maybe you're thinking, it doesn't matter what I ask for. He'll never change. I'm not important enough to him. And that's why you suffer from lack of confidence, because he really does love you. So don't underestimate the power of love. If you step up, you give your partner an opportunity to step up. So now I've shown you how using Heart Talk will help you speak your truth and get through to those you love without them getting defensive, going around in circles, and you end up being the complaining or nagging partner, or feeling that you don't matter. Isn't that over the top? Because I want you to know you do matter. So do you think these 3 steps will work for you? Number 1, just to realize how you're currently communicating and how it's not getting you heard and understood in what you want in relationship. Step number 2, be willing to change the dance and apply the Heart Talk principles. And then number 3, use your closest peeps as your practice partners. Heart Talk practice partners is what I call it. You'll have plenty of opportunity once you learn the model. If you do these 3 steps, you'll feel more heard and understood and loved, guaranteed. Now I want to check in with you. We've covered a lot of material and there's so much more. My intention is to give you a clear understanding that Heart Talk works and it will be a game changer for you. I have yet to talk about your emotions and how to deal with them, triggers and what to do with them, how your brain gets in the way and literally goes offline, how to get connected to your power through getting connected to your needs, the complete 4N process, knowing how to process your emotions productively instead of repressing them, understanding what's getting in your way, and that this is an energetic language of the heart, dealing with your abandonment issues, and cultivating courage. So that's just the tip of the iceberg of the whole thing. I couldn't possibly cover all you need in one webinar. That's why I put together a special offer for you, my full Heart Talk online course. It'll give you everything you need to transform your communication. So this is actually inside the course. You'll have me. On the left-hand side are all the different modules. And on the right-hand side are going to be PowerPoints, handouts, or me talking to you. So I'm going to be right there with you. Here's a PowerPoint. So they're just like what I'm doing here in this workshop or webinar. You'll have some PowerPoints, you'll have some videos, some awesome, awesome handouts that you can use as cheat sheets to be able to really embody this language also. And then the modules, there's 7 modules. The introduction and how it's going to transform your life. Module 2 is understanding these sabotaging communication styles and triggers and what to do when you're triggered so that you don't completely destroy your relationships. And understanding the difference between head talk and heart talk so you can really start to tune in to how you're currently speaking and other people are speaking as well. Module 4 is empathy, emotional authenticity, and equal mattering. That word doesn't even really exist in our language. Equal mattering. You matter and everyone matters. And this is the language of the heart. And it's beautiful to cultivate it. Module 5 is an in-depth overview of the Heart Talk model. So you'll understand exactly the model as it compares to Head Talk to make it easy to understand the difference. And then module 6 is how to put Heart Talk into practice in your daily life. And then the final module is bringing it all together and making it really work for you. So it's content rich to give you exactly what you need so that you can transform your relationships for the better. And then you can experience something similar to what Donna, and Denise experienced. It's so funny how they're all 3Ds. Delicious. I love it. At this point, do you think you would benefit from taking this course and learning Heart Talk? It's not just for your intimate relationship. Heart Talk can be applied to all your relationships. So your relationships with your mother, your daughter, your child, your boss, your sister, your uncle, your real estate agent, a person down the street. So here's the complete Heart Talk online course. You can do it at your own pace. There's 7 modules, as I showed you. You can have instant access, and you can start practicing now, all for $297. And I give you a money-back guarantee, so you ultimately have nothing to lose. You are covered within the first 7 days. If you purchase it and you do the first 2 modules and you decide this is not for me, I'm not going to get anything out of it, I refund you your money, no questions asked. So there's no risk involved. I'm curious at this point, what would hold you back from wanting to learn Heart Talk? Plus, when you sign up today, I'll give you 4 extra bonuses. It will help you embody Heart Talk. So these are things that I put together to really help you make this transition easier, to really hone your skills of becoming aware of the difference and being able to speak this new language, this language of the heart. So you'll get a communication cheat sheet that have actually many different clear communication phrases, and then you'll get a coping cheat sheet, how to deal with defensive people. You'll get a handout about boundaries versus barricades. I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail. And then the warning sign, 32 of the biggest warning signs that you have poor boundaries in a relationship. So when you have these extra bonuses, in addition to the course and the extra bonuses, with those cheat sheets, you'll easily learn the exact words that create more effective communication, and you'll free yourself from using words that are destructive and shut people down. With the cheat sheet, you'll know how to deal with defensive people, and you'll free yourself from being frustrated or fearful of defensive people. And then with the boundaries and barricades, it's going to help you to really understand the difference between a boundary and a barricade. A boundary protects you, and a barricade hurts you and isolates you and shuts you down. And a lot of us use barricades instead of boundaries because we don't know how to set healthy boundaries. So you'll free yourself from destructive relationship patterns, saying yes when you really mean no, people-pleasing, feelings of isolation and loneliness. And then the last extra bonus is a list of poor boundary warning signs so that you'll easily be able to see, I do that, or these different red flags, and you'll free yourself from ignoring them, and you'll start being able to have the courage with my support to start changing and shifting these behaviors. And I know you can do it. When I first was figuring this stuff out, I had no clue how to use the right words. I just knew I was using words that did not work. The cheat sheets really helped me to make this new language a part of my life. And also, I knew nothing about boundaries. I knew a lot about barricades. I didn't even know I was creating barricades. What about you? Now imagine a world where you're encouraged to express your feelings and needs. Your partner is curious instead of defensive, and you feel that you really matter. And you can easily speak your truth without fear of relationship drama or not being heard, like walking on eggshells. You can be a part of creating this new and better world. So back to the course. What you will get is my complete Heart Talk online course, lifetime access for $297. The 4 super helpful bonuses, value of $97, and a Heart Talk certification once you complete the course. The total value is $394, and you'll get it for only $297. Think about it this way. If all this course did was give you more peace and peace of mind in your relationships, would it be worth $297? I'd say probably more. I want you to have this wisdom so much that I'm putting my complete Heart Talk online course model for $297, and then the 4 super helpful bonuses, Heart Talk certification, and then you'll also get the first invite whenever I do my 6-week live immersions at a discounted price. So I do immersions, and there's 6 weeks we're in our Zoom room and it's live with other people, and we dive deep into subjects such as communication, emotions, pleasure, intimacy, sex ed. And you'll get my first invite to my Sacred Rooms Zoom Room Women's Circle. So I really want you to have this wisdom. And that's why I'm giving you all this extra stuff. And access to my private membership only. And the total value again is only $297. So let's get started. I hope I see you on the inside. The registration is just below this video. I'll see you there. Namaste.